LFC Daytrippers, brought to you by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, that's Keith, that's Seany. It's no transfer knowledge show for what night is it, Keith?
Wednesday
night. Show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. Link is in the description if you want to go and check out their website for all the analysis and articles and all the sorts of comparisons. And if you gamble, please do so responsibly, because in there you do have all the odds on all the sports from all the bookmakers. But check them out because it's a good website overall. Transfer stuff. It's starting to heat up, and by heat up I mean just names being linked absolutely everywhere. Nothing has happened, but we, like we do on this show all the time, we're going to go through the names, what we think of the player, what we think might happen with them, and just like disclaimer, we don't pretend to know anything about inside knowledge on transfers. We just like to talk about them and give our views. If you're here, and there's loads of you here already, hit the like button. It's very easy to do. You do it right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you subscribe, hit the bell icon as well, so every time we go live you know about it. Keith, how are you?
I'm grand, Gav. I'm grand. How are you? Forget about me.
I'm at 88%, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm about 33. So
are you that bad?
Yeah, I'm not. It's fucking not a young man anymore, Gav. You know.
I'm telling everyone you're 28 all weekend, but anyway.
I know. Yeah, that's the first sign of madness. I think we should have copped on.
I'm at about 88%. Keith's at 33. Seany, you had a big sleep last night. I reckon you're nearly back to full fitness.
100%.
Are you?
100%. It was 100% on Monday on the plane on the way back.
Yeah.
It's good to go. Everyone's saying I'm shrunk and I'm the next James Bond. There's so much going on here in the chat. It's absolutely mental.
But look, transfers, we might get into the weekend a little bit later on because people are being asked about it. But RIP Tina Turner, says Olivia. Of course, Tina Turner died today at the age of 83. Maybe keep my singles out with a bit of Tina Turner later. You never know. If he was at 41 or 42%, he may sing you out, but we'll see how it goes between now and possibly 11 o'clock. I want to start with Mason Mount. Mason Mount linked away from Chelsea. Talks that he's not really interested in signing a deal at Chelsea because he doesn't know what's going on there. I don't think it's down to money. I think it might be the contract term and just where the club is going and where do you see him fitting in, because he hasn't played an awful lot of football for Chelsea starting anyway in the last 6 months or so, but it's bananas over at Chelsea at the moment. But he's been linked with Liverpool over the last little while. Some of it strongly, some of it you go, nah, I'm not too sure. A lot's come out today though, or a lot has been speculated on today that, you know, Chelsea are looking for £80 million for him, which is to me insane. I've seen others suggest that Manchester United is where he's leaning towards if he was to leave Chelsea. Seany, Mason Mount, we've discussed him loads. We think he's a really, really good player. Does it feel like this is starting to move on Mason Mount, or is it just this is only the beginning where there's just clubs being thrown around, figures being thrown around, and someone might hit the right number at some stage?
Mason Mount's a weird one. I think it's mad that Chelsea are trying to make power plays in this one when they've literally no power, because they're up against a bit of a deadline in terms of the amount of money that they need to make by a certain stage. And yeah, obviously they have a few assets they can move on, but Mount is one where he's going into the last year of his contract and it doesn't look like he's going to sign a new one. So, Mount, don't get me wrong, I think Mount's a very good player, but one of the attractive things about the Mount deal is that it might be something that could be potentially low cost and done at a decent fee, because he's a 24-year-old England international who was sort of like a stalwart of that Chelsea team, who looked like they were going places, obviously won the Champions League. But if the touted fee is anywhere near what it's going to go for, then I kind of think it negates the idea of it being a good deal, because he's not going to be on buttons either. He's gonna command a high wage. So maybe it's Chelsea trying to get the ball rolling on that side of things. But I don't know whether they're going to get a bidding war that they want, because just I could see him going to Liverpool, I could see him going to United, and I could see him going to Arsenal. But I could easily see Arsenal and both Arsenal and Liverpool just going, all right, now we're not really that bothered by it, and we'll move on. So it's hard to know, but it looks like the wheels are starting to turn on it. But I don't think we'll be anywhere near it if the reported fee is even anywhere near what it's going to go for, because you're looking at a fella who was in the last year of his deal. He was out of favour at Chelsea. Let's get it right. He's out of favour. He hasn't featured much. I know he's been out recently with injury. So, look, I like Mount. I think he's a very good player. He's suited the Klopp style. I think he improves us, no doubt about it. But I won't be losing sleep if we lose out on him. That's for certain.
A lot of people in the chat don't want Mason Mount. You know, they're saying, like, if he doesn't come to Liverpool, I'm not really bothered. Bracazian 3, and I hope I've said your name right, he says, people trying to use LFC with the Mount situation. There's a couple in there as well are saying, like, and I can't believe we're starting this early by basically saying, look, if he goes to United, that's one of our top targets, not secured due to lack of money and stuff like that. Like, lads, can we please leave it till the fucking window opens and see what Liverpool does? Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, Jono says, months ago we were sorted told our two top targets were Mount and Jude. Now it looks like we miss out on both due to money. That has me concerned, considering how big the summer is meant to be. Like, nothing has happened with Mason Mount. Like, and this is what I'm saying. Like, put it this way: does anybody think Mason Mount, with a year left in his deal, is worth 80 million quid? No, right? But what happens if United go and pay 80 million for Mason Mount? Are we meant to turn around and go, oh, Liverpool again, for fuck's sake, not spending 80 million on Mason Mount? Do you know what I mean? Like, just give it a while, lad. Let us see what happens. And by all means, like, if Liverpool don't sign the players and spend the money that we all agree that they should spend, but by all means, then we go bleeding rasher about it. But, like, genuinely, Mason Mount is being touted to Liverpool in so many different ways over the last month, and now one thing comes out from the biggest one of the biggest flip floppers of them all, and all of a sudden, all Liverpool are getting paid. You know, everyone's paying more than Liverpool again. Just let it go for a bit and see how we get on. Keith, Mason Mount, where do you stand on? Because I'm going to be honest with you, I really like him, and I go against a lot of people in the chat. I really, really like him because he's a hybrid of midfield and forward, and I think he does a good job there. 40 to 45 million, I think, even with a year left in his contract, because they do have an option for another year, or he has an option for another year in Chelsea and he hasn't extended it. You know, or he wanted them extend for another year. I think he's a really, really good option for Liverpool at that price range. And he's 24, he's English, the experience he has. But, like, you can't be going 60 million quid on Mason Mount with a year left in his deal, Keith. You know what I mean? No. It's not like he's a fucking, world class player.
I wouldn't go over 40 on Mason Mount, and we've said that on shows previously, and I'm a huge fan of Mason Mount. I echo everything really that Seany said there. Mount is a good player. He's certainly not as bad as people in the chat and on Twitter are making him out to be like we've dodged a bullet. Mason Mount, I think, would be tailor-made for the Jurgen Klopp team. I think he's the type of player that would go in there and could, be the conduit to link our defence or the midfield even to the attack, and he'd be an attacking midfield player. But I don't know, and look, I may be wrong, but I don't know how strongly linked we are with Mason Mount, because I think we'll talk about Mac Allister in a while. I don't know, if you buy a Mac Allister, and we don't know if we're going to get Mac Allister either, but Mac Allister, Mount, and then if you think of the likes of Curtis Jones, who's played his way back into contention there, they're not all the same player, they're all actually different, but they'd all be operating in the same areas. And I don't know, maybe Liverpool have changed what they're looking for this summer, but to me, if there is any validity to him wanting to go to Manchester United, I'd love to see the figures that are coming out, because they're idiots. They will pay 80 million for a Mason Mount, and I think they will offer mad money. And if that's the case, well, so be it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want Liverpool going over 40 million for Mason Mount. I wouldn't want them going and putting them anywhere near their highest earning. Although Salah's way ahead of the rest, I wouldn't even want them going ahead of Virgil or anything like that, because he hasn't done anything to warrant that. And I'd be very sceptical. And people get annoyed about that. It's like, oh, it's not your money, it's not your money. That doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't matter if it's not your money. If you set a precedent to giving players like that anything over 200 grand a week, look at the Saka deal. I'll be watching that with interest as well, the amount of money that lad's after getting at Arsenal. I would be very, very dubious if there was, I've seen reports of 300,000 a week for Manchester United for Mason Mount.
Well, John Culler says he wants 250 grand a week, and I would think Champions League football. I think we can get as good as for a lot cheaper. I think Mazon Conway asked, is it not a bit worrying that he'd rather play for United than Liverpool? Nobody knows that he'd rather play for United than Liverpool. Like, let's get with the schedule here. Do you know what I mean? Like, this could be a case of Liverpool wanting him. Like, you can throw this any angle, can't you, Keith? You could literally, you can turn this and manipulate whatever way you want. You could basically say Liverpool are signing for 45 million. He wants to go to Liverpool. And Chelsea are going to throw 85 million out there and throw in name like United at it and see if Liverpool come up a bit higher. You can manipulate this any way you want, can't you?
Exactly. Like, it's a bidding war where there's, as Shawnee said, Chelsea don't exactly have any power to force anything with this deal. And who was it that Ornstein was it that started about this Mason Mount? And people look, Ornstein gets a lot of stuff right, we know that, but he gets a lot of stuff wrong as well. And I would literally be just holding fire on this and waiting to see, because Mason Mount choosing Manchester United could be because Liverpool have cooled off on him. We just don't know. We don't know what the story is there. So I wouldn't be too worried. I like Mason Mount. I really like him. I think he's an excellent player. I think he would be excellent for us. But I'm not going to lose too much sleep if we don't get him, because I think there are better players out there than him. And whoever we get, I trust will do the job that we need.
I wouldn't lose sleep providing Liverpool make the right signings. But I think if Liverpool don't make the right signings, you'd be looking at Mason Mount. And look, he's not going for anywhere near 85 million. Like, if anyone, even Manchester United aren't stupid enough to go out and bid 85 million for Mason Mount. They just aren't.
They paid him.
Do you know what I mean?
For anything.
Do you know what I mean? I know.
Well, these fellas played absolute bananas. He is.
He is bananas. But I don't believe that figure, Shawnee. Like, I don't believe that figure. Like, who in the world of football is leaving any club for 85 million quid with a year left in his deal?
That's so, like, I think transfer fees are completely superficial in this day and age. I don't know where the fucking market is. These are basing the fees based on the market that they fucking ruined by their business in the last window. So, in what world is Mason Mount? Mason Mount with 2 years on his deal is not worth 85 million.
Yeah.
He's a good player.
Mason Mount with a 3-year deal isn't worth that. 85
He's a very good player, but where's the benchmark? Like, that's the thing.
Well, people say the English tax, Johnny, but like, at the end of the day, Chelsea have a player with a year left in his deal that they're not playing. By the way, they're shy, and they're not playing him, and they're turning around the end of the season going, "We barely played him, but we want 80 million for him." It's madness.
I'd buy Gibbs White and I'd buy Ramsey before I spent all the money on him, because they'd be cheaper deals.
Yeah,
they'd be cheaper deals, because Mount is not going to take any less than 180 grand a week. It's as simple as that. I think Mason Mount.
I think Mason Mount at 45 million on 200 grand a week. No, 45 million at 200 grand a week is for a 24-year-old. I think is absolutely fine.
Yeah, but
In
Our
today's
top
world
earner
of
is
football, it
Mohamed
is.
Salah. After that, it's
200 grand a
Virgil
week.
van Dijk on 200 grand.
200 grand a week.
Yeah, I think he would look for that.
You
Would
look
you
for
give
it.
it to him?
Yeah,
Nah, I wouldn't go.
I
No
would.
chance.
You're giving Naby
No
Keita.
chance.
You're giving Oxlade-Chamberlain 140.
Yeah, and they weren't worth it.
Look
So what are we
what
going to
happened.
give
I know,
him?
yeah. I know, but this fella be on the pitch. He'd be playing football.
No.
know what I mean?
He's injury prone as well.
Look, I think Chelsea have fucked him around this season. I just can't get I can't get around the fact that
45 million, 200 grand a week is a fucking colossal deal for a fella with 1 year in his contract.
yeah,
Let's
I
be
understand.
honest.
Well,
wouldn't
the
be
wages stuff is what you think he's worth. The 45 million is like the situation. Do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. I think Mason Mount, even if he signs an extension and at 2 years, I think 45 is around right. Do you know what I mean?
No, you got to be clever and you got to be better than that. And that's it's the if they had, I know we're being hypothetical there, but I wouldn't be going near them for that amount of money because you can do so much better with little. Because we're not walking with like I said, we're not walking on much here. Let's be honest. You are convinced that we're going to spend fucking 200 million. Let's or whatever the outlay is going to be. If you're giving up 40 million and 200 grand a week to Mason Mount, you're not doing it right. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. Yeah, like I said,
But it all
he's a
depends
good
if
player,
they're-
and it's an opportunity there to get. If you're giving them fucking 200 grand a week, and you're getting them for 40 million, then it's a different story.
Yeah.
Well,
That's fact.
Yeah, that's a fair
factored
point.
in.
Yeah, that's a fair.
It's
You have to,
factored in. But you need
Yeah.
to realise that if he's signing as well, he's getting a signing on bonus as well.
Yeah.
Like you need the box clever.
Mason
and I
Mount only made sense at a low fee. It never made sense at a high
But what's
fee.
a
and
low
high
fee,
wages.
Keith?
With a year left on
Low
his
fee is
contract,
30.
Gav, 30 to 35 would be what you'd be looking at.
So
And
we're
I
not
know
really
you've
arguing
English
over
tax
much
on that.
if it was 40.
It's
we're
the
not really
wages,
arguing over-
but the wages are what adds up.
Yeah,
If
but-
you're talking the difference between, let's say 130, 140 grand a week and 210, you're talking 70 grand a week. You'd get Caicedo for less money than that. You'd get Mac Allister for less than that. You'd get Jacob Ramsey for less than that. Morgan Gibbs-White, as Shawnee said, you'll get for less than that.
Yeah,
Romeo Lavia, you get for less than that. James Ward-Prowse, you get for
Exactly.
less than that.
yeah, maybe
go
maybe
through
so.
them
But
all.
I think the thing that stands out for him is for Mason Mount, for me anyway, is the way he can play multiple positions. He can play in the midfield three. He can play up front. He can play off the. He can play in a 10. He can play wide. Now, having said that, I'm kind of being hypocritical myself because I don't want that this summer. I want players to come in and go, he's fucking playing there. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? So that's maybe being a bit hypocritical for myself. I just like him as a player. And I'd be good if we don't get him once, especially if our other signs aren't right. But you've thrown off loads of names there that, yeah, you could make the argument against. Moving away
That's
from
just
this.
off the top of the head, Gav. There's loads we could go through there. Do you know what I mean? And I just want to say, I'm not saying, 2 weeks ago you were saying you wanted Mason Mount. No, we don't want Mason Mount because he's linked with Manchester United. It's not that. It's just the money. If you don't have a bottomless pit, you're not going to waste it all.
But when we were
on
talking
one
about
guy.
Mason Mount 2 weeks ago, how much were we talking about?
Oh, I always thought
Yeah, but that's the thing.
40 million safe bet.
That's what I thought. That was my thinking, and that's why Mason Mount at the right price is a no-brainer. But it's two sides of the same coin. If you pay a little bit over, it actually negates the positives of the deal for me.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
if you're paying 50 million for a fella, like, for example, I'd imagine that he's going to cost United 50 million. I reckon it's going to be 50 million pounds that they'll pay for him. And he'll get about 220, 250 grand a week off them. That's a poxy deal. That's a terrible deal, in my opinion. And we could do way better that just for that amount. So we will need to get maximum return out of every penny we spend. And I wouldn't be gambling on Mount at that money. It made so much sense at a lower rate because there's a year left on his deal. I'd be just letting that run. The thing is, people saying, fucking Einstein saying, Champions League already coming back to bite us. Look, if a fella wants to play Champions League and he doesn't want to play for us, fair enough. I actually think the Champions League thing kind of it sorts out issues for you at the end of the day. Because I only want fucking players who want to come and play for Liverpool and earn the right to play in the Champions League. the way Mane did. I know he came to Southampton, but I still see Liverpool as not a stepping stone. It's still a destination under Jurgen Klopp with the players we've put a good run together at the back end of this season. So much so that you think, right, three or four bodies in there and we're good to go again. That's the type of players you want to be tapping into. You don't want to be fucking getting turned away from lads because they might miss a season out of the Champions League. Go and play Champions League for United anyway. They're not going to win it. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and could be out of it next season as well. Like, it's so short-sighted. It doesn't make any sense.
G10 would love, and I pronounce that, Keith, because you know that fella's name.
Shabazz.
Okay. But truth be told, I don't know where he'd fit in their system. And he also says championship teams are spending 25 to 30 million on players now. Next October, we'll have more reports how well run the club is. G10, listen, go and have a fucking lie down, will you? Like, seriously, I don't know how you're going to fucking do this right through to August. Like,
yeah, it's tough. It's going to be a slog.
I'm tired thinking about how you're going to get through this, to be honest with you. Moving away from midfield for a sec, right? Centre back. Been a couple of things. And when we were away over the weekend, the Crystal Palace centre back name came up. Now, I'm going to be honest, none of us were reading anything over the weekend, but we just happened to come across this, and someone around the table having a drink mentioned them. And the centre half stuff come up again. So, Keith, the three, Urian Timber, all right? How do you pronounce your man's name at Palace? Because I want to say Guehi, is it? Right. Him. And then this fella that can run like the fastest I've ever seen a footballer run in my life. Who's he,
Gonzalez.
Keith? What's his name?
Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, but what's his real name, Keith?
Mickey Van der Ven. Mickey
Okay.
Van der Ven.
So centre back seems to have thrown itself up a little bit here as well. All right.
Yeah.
Now, there was reports then yesterday that Liverpool may be looking to move Joe Matip on. Right. Now, Urian Timber came around a good bit, and people are like, not big enough. Is he good enough in the air? He's quick. He's definitely played on the right side of it, 3-man defence and stuff like that. We all kind of, when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Keith, that centre back would come into the reckoning because remember what was your fella's name that was linked to us and Shiny didn't like him?
He's still linked.
Yeah, Ndicka Bollocks, right? Where do you stand on this centre half stuff? Because I thought the lad off Palace made sense. Again, if it frees up a homegrown spot, if you bring him in, there's talk of 50 million, which seems a bit mad. But where do you stand on the centre half stuff? Anything in the Matip stuff?
I think there has to be something. I think Jurgen Klopp did say, didn't he, that there'll be, apart from goalkeeper, they're looking at players in every position. So the thing that I find with the centre backs, and I put in the group the other day, is if we don't bring in a younger centre back this summer, then we have a big job to do next summer. Right, so we're looking at then replacing Joe Matip and probably Joe Gomez, because I think Joe Gomez's time is running out unless he can find some form of form, right? Some type of form and consistency, which I don't know where he's going to get. So you bring in Ibu Konate, and it's not the finished article, but potentially you can see what you're going to get out of Ibu. And I think you need to get, in this summer, I think at the very least you have to get another centre back that's under 24 maybe, that can go in there or can do a job for you. Maybe not as a straight off starter, but that can come in and can relieve, if it's Van Dijk and if it's Konate, can come in and there's not a big drop off. Unfortunately for Matip, he has had a drop off this season. It probably does make sense to cash in on him, in the sense that if we have to move players on, Gomez still says English, he still has the English tax, still a homegrown player, so it would probably make sense why we wanted the Matip is the fall guy. But I do think Liverpool maybe have to start looking to move on players and bringing the age profile down. There's other players linked. Levi Colwell's getting linked an awful lot as well. Who else? Ndicka is back on the table, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. Well, he's a good player. He's a good, quick player, but 50 million is a bit crazy. Look, not a lot of people rate Urian Timber. He's too small. Everyone's saying it in the chat. He is small. He is small. Lisandro Martinez is small. There's other small centre backs out there, but the thing with I think Timber, the appeal there is he can do right back, and Kev is adamant that you'd only really get Kev O'Sullivan's adamant you'd only really get him as a right-sided back three centre back, and maybe that's the case. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that is the case, but I just think there will be movement there. Who it'll be, it could be Ndicka. I wouldn't Ndicka me bollocks. I don't mind him. If it's him, it's him. Because the thing about Ndicka, and I don't know about the others how they profile, Ndicka's left-footed. You could slide him in as a back three on the left side. If you're playing Trent in the midfield, there's loads of different things you can do. But I just think that there will be a centre back coming in. Who it'll be, I don't know. The Timber one would make more sense than probably the Guehi one for me, just because of the price. But then this Mickey Van de Ven, don't know the fella. Seen a clip of him running like Blade Usain Bolt on
I've never seen
steroids.
anything like it.
And I think
Shawnee
Shawnee might have said, "Is that on fast forward?"
It looked like someone pressed the sky remote twice,
Yeah,
and he just fucking
it's
hurtled down
ridiculous.
the pitch.
But he's 6'4". He's not a little fella. Do you know what I mean? He's a big unit. That
But
fella.
apparently, not that good in the air at 6'4".
Yeah.
John reckons we do get Urian Timber. He doesn't feel height is that important in this new system. Speed and versatility is more important. I think you're probably looking at left side. It's something done on left side. But Shawnee, Levi Caldwell from who's on loan at Brighton from Chelsea's being mentioned. You're a big fan of him. Do they buy a centre back for centre back's sake, i.e. a straight swap with Matip, or do they buy a centre back with the idea that he can play either? I think it's left hand side because I think Trent will still start right back and move in where he is. Well, wait, did he just go like for like, or are they looking at something to, play a range of kind of systems at the back there?
Well, I don't think they'll hamstring themselves by signing someone who is only able to do one job. I think they're going to look at someone who's quite versatile, probably people won't like hearing this, but like an upgraded Sepp van der Berg sort of player who's comfortable to play at fullback and is comfortable to go in at centre half. So that's the sort of player that Klopp's going to be looking for. I know people are crying out for a left-sided centre back, but it's hard to know really because he's kind of been deploying Robinson. I've never felt it's been a back three anyway because our possession, it's more or less a back four. It's just when we're getting broke on, it's going down Kanate's side, and he's kind of having to go out there and defend. Yeah. I don't ever see it as sort of like a back three, so to speak, because Trent is kind of only going where the space is, and it's tended to be in the middle. So, I don't know what they're gonna do because it's obvious we need one, but I think there's talk that Simicast could leave and Matip could leave, and if either of those were to happen, then you'd have to look at doing something. And I really like the look of the lad from Bayer Leverkusen, Hinsa. I think it's Hincape. Yeah, I think he's really good. I think the few times I've seen him, he's been really good and he's versatile and he's aggressive and he's sort of a Swiss Army knife in a way that he could play left-sided centre-back comfortably or be a left full out and out. So he's one I keep an eye on. I don't know. The Ndicka me bollocks thing just kind of roll off the tongue at the time, but I don't know. I'm not convinced by him. I don't think he's... is he any better than Joe Gomez, if we're being honest? Joe Gomez picks up a bit of form, which I wouldn't write off either, you know what I mean? So it's hard to know what they're going to do, but I do think that they're going to need someone who's versatile anyway. I know you said, Emmett said it and yourself said in the chat, Walker Peters is a great shout in terms of covering both right full and left full. So look, I don't really know, Gav. The thing that throws me is that we always just, for whatever you can say about us not getting the requisite amount of business done, when we do the business, it seems to be done kind of sharp and out or nowhere. For example, I think Gakpo was announced on the 26th, was it Stevens' day? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, it was a bit like Van Dijk. It was a couple of days before the window opened, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And there's going to be at least one of them in this window. You know what I mean? And Liverpool, everyone knows Liverpool are in the market. So even if there's players we're not linked to, our name's gonna be used to drum up interest by agents and clubs. That's just the way it's going to be because we are in the market. But like
Sam Tandy
that's the
says
thing.
Bella Kotchap. We never mentioned him.
Yeah,
but
he's
linked
looked
with
really
Leipzig.
good whenever I've seen him. Like he looks really, really
Reported
good
fee of
whenever-
17 million as well.
For who, Bella
Yeah, again, and that's about being clever, like, you know. But I think Kim Min-jae from Napoli, I believe he has a buyout clause for the month of July that we could definitely afford. Now, obviously, we're not going to be the only team, but it's worth throwing a name in the hat for him because I do think he's good. Now, he's not the youngest. He's not like
26.
He's not this budding centre back who's like just bursts onto the scene. He's quite experienced. He's had a really good season at Napoli, but he looks the business as sort of different to the centre halves that we have. But Bella Kotchap would be a great signing. I think that would be fucking finger on the pulse and getting it done. But I don't give a bollocks that he's gotten relegated. It means fuck all to me because I do believe that if you put quality players in better teams, they improve. We only have to look at Gini Wijnaldum and Andy Robertson for examples. You know, I think Bella Kotchap has literally every attribute needed to become a top centre back. I think something that we would be a massive improvement to our squad and go in and can learn from Virgil van Dijk. I know I seen him on the Saturday Social on Sky talking about how much he looks up to Virgil. So I do hope that's something that we're looking into, because he's one that, again, I think Liverpool are going to have to get clever and creative this year with our signings, and I think that will be a start to get picking up someone like Bella Kotchap.
It's personally what I do, I could actually see a situation where Matip or Gomez don't go, and it could be Simicast that they do something with, and they bring in a player that could play centre back and left back with the idea that maybe they could, you know, bring this fella in. He could play in a tree, gives Robertson a bit more rest, because Robertson always goes through a patch in the season where he looks fucked, and I'm not surprised he's running since about 2017. And then you could actually look at saying, right, if Matip or Gomez was going the following year, that fella that you brought in is actually the centre back that's going to replace them, and you look at a left back cover then if you wanted to. I think that's probably a more sensible route to go down. But there's talk about Matip going. If you're going to do that, you're still probably leaving yourself and saying you have to. It has to be a left-sided one if you're going to do it, because it just gives you way more options. If you want to do that 3 at the back kind of hybrid, even though I agree with you, it's a 4. But if you didn't want to play Robertson and play that kind of left-sided centre back who's comfortable at left back, it helps you in and out of possession. But I wouldn't run Andy Robertson yet. I've seen things like Real Madrid want to sign him and stuff like that. I wouldn't be selling Andy Robertson, not a fucking chance.
People marching him out the door for 40 million.
I know, but that's the way the world works. You link him with Real Madrid and people are like, oh yeah, just sell him. Yeah, it's fucking grand. Like, it means we might get something else in.
One of the keys on that.
We could touch on it. To be honest with you, I'm not being edgy here. I think in another summer where Liverpool didn't have fucking loads of work to do, I think it should be definitely something to consider. That's being deadly honest with you.
Okay, because if you sell, but we're in this summer. If you sell Andy Robertson this summer,
that's what I'm saying. Not now. There's way too much to be doing to be losing someone like Andy Robertson. But say if you're if you're set up and you have the right amount of players in your team, and say for example, we were looking at a summer. I'm being completely hypothetical here because that's what these shows are. Say it's a summer where we only needed to bring in one midfielder, and you had Madrid coming in going, here's X amount for Andy Robertson. Now again, I'm talking about this in the same vein that we spoke about Jota a few months ago. If the price is right, it's definitely something you can consider, because Robertson is 29 now, and he's getting to the stage where he will be on the wane. Now, he's always fit. I know that. But Bill Shankly always says it's better to let a player's legs go at another club than at your club. And I think it would be something definitely to consider. But the only thing is, I think there's just way fucking more. There's too much to do now at the moment. And if you don't want to be losing the likes of a Bobby and a Milner and a Robertson in the same window, because it's not just the impact it has on the pitch. They're three massive characters in a dressing room, so it shouldn't be entertained now, but in another window and in an alternative reality, it's definitely something that would be considered. But there's way too much to be doing now to be let.
If you had a player in the wings that you feel could step in and do it, you'd be like, okay, we consider, because we're going down the same road now. Next season, Robertson is going to be what, 30? How old is he? It's 29, so he'll be 30 next season. Virgil will be that age. You know, they're all getting older, and you have to look at bringing that age profile down. Now, I know we tried it with Simicast, but while he started off well, I think Simicast, there's a huge drop off there, and you wouldn't be selling Andy Robertson and keeping Costa Simicast under any.
But that's why I go back to signing someone this summer that's left sided, that's comfortable at left back, because I think part of the problem with Robertson is at times during the season is they just didn't trust Simicast in, especially going through bad periods, to go in and look after something for a game or two.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you bring a fella in that's, say you bring in a Hincape, right, and he can play centre back and he can play left back, so he's an option on both ways, right? You do that for a year, and then say Matip goes, Hincape then becomes a centre back, but you bring in a really, I would be spending money on a really good backup left back to say to yourself, right, well, Robertson might be coming near the end of 32. This guy is going to be in. A bit like when you go back and look at Ramsey coming in, if Trent was eventually into midfield, because I think Ramsey's a fantastic looking player. He's bad. He's been unlucky with injuries. That's where I think you can actually cover one or two positions and forward plan a little bit for left back, because it's going to come. Left back's going to become an issue. Centre back, midfield isn't going to get cleaned up this year. It's going to go on till next year. Do you know what I mean? And then you are into territories of Salah and his age and stuff like that. It's an ongoing process. It always is. Let's go back and look at Alexis Mac Allister. Heavily linked with Liverpool again. Reports everywhere that a deal is very close to being done. Liverpool have agreed terms with him, and it's just now to get the final details in place for a transfer from Brighton. Of course, when this happens, like fucking like shit falls on a shovel, Man City are linked and someone else is linked, and that's the way the world works. But where are you on Keith? Sorry, where are you on Alexis Mac Allister at the moment? And I have a couple more players I want to ask his opinions on as well when we move on. But where are you on this one?
Listen, no surprise to fucking anybody that I'm all over this one. I think Mac Allister's a perfect player for us in the sense, like I said, about what Mason Mount does, about moving between the midfield, the attack, and bridging the gap. I think Mac Allister does that, but I think he can play holding as well. I think he can play sort of anywhere. He's so tidy with the ball. He just gives me Gini Wijnaldum vibes in the sense that he will go in there and he'll just be a little metronome in your midfield that makes things work. So I take him in a fucking heartbeat. But I think we were speaking over the weekend, and Seany was saying, all the reports on this is coming from the Argentinian side. And it's all very, very concrete on that side. Now, whether that turns out to be true or not, with time will tell. But now you're getting a few coming in and backing her up on this side of the water as well, tentatively. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be surprised if we don't get Mac Allister, but I would be all over him. I think he's going to be perfect. Perfect for us. The price, people are worried about the price. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I'd pay 80 million for Mac Allister if it took 80 million. 60, I think, is a fair price. 60 to 65.
55 is the latest.
There's so many prices getting bandied about, but I think you'd get him on much lower wage, and I think he's a player that's on the up, whereas Mason Mount has maybe stalled a bit due to injury and being out of form. You know what I mean? So for me, Mac Allister one makes much more sense. Be very interested to see it happening. Seany keeps saying, and we've said it before, that he doesn't see the big spend, and I would agree with him 100%. If it wasn't such a necessity this summer. So I think we are going to, put it this way, Liverpool don't bring in the requisite quality of player and number of players to fix the issues in that squad, especially with the lads who are leaving, then we're in trouble. And I just think they've got your man Schmedeke or whatever. Is he sorted out yet? Is he confirmed?
It looks like it's more or less confirmed. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have him in there, and as we've seen, it looks like there's a handover, but the transfer work is all done. You know, it'll be interesting to see. I think this deal is very, very far down the line, and I expect them to announce for Liverpool after the end of the season. But
Yeah, like, Jonas is there for balance. We did get reports from the Uruguay side on Newcastle, and that doesn't look like happening. But I'm going to be honest with you, lads. I believe fucking none of them until they sign for Liverpool. Honestly, I've got to that stage where I believe none of them, because if you have the time, go back and look at all these people that report this and go back through their social media and their articles. And honestly, they contradict themselves on a fucking weekly and daily and weekly basis. Honest to God, it's actually staggering. And they've bills to pay, so you know where they're coming from. But I just believe nobody until it fucking gets there. I think my take on Mac Allister is I think he's a perfect fit. I think he's a perfect fit for what we're looking to do. He just everything about him, I think his mate Saicedo was a perfect fit as well.
yeah,
But getting both of them out of that club this summer, I think is going to be difficult. I think Mac Allister's jumped ahead of Saicedo in the potential to leave Brighton. So it's one of those. But Seany, Mac Allister, believe it, don't believe it, there's a shitload of reports that Liverpool are interested and it's close and stuff like that. If you want them over, if it's getting done, Sean, you want them over the line and you want them done quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you fanny about, you'd be gone to City.
yeah,
Simple as that.
100%.
That's the reality of it, unfortunately. But I agree with what you said. I think he's a perfect player for Liverpool. I think he suits us perfect. He's really good. He's one who'll get. I think you're looking to improve your 11. He goes into Man City starting 11 next year. So that would tell you
He's
the
good
quality
for
that
us.
this fella has. Yeah, exactly. So that's. I don't know what more to say. Again, I think fees are superficial, but this fella hasn't only just signed the new deal. So it does make it a little bit more difficult. But I reckon you're getting your money's worth. You're paying up to 70 million for this fella, because 70 million is probably the new 40 million, 40 million. I don't fucking know on inflation. It's just, it's all gone mad. It's hard to see where bargains are to be got in these windows. If look at the fees that we're talking about earlier. But hopefully this is one just where it's a matter of time. And there's not some fucking 11th hour gazumping by Man City. So, yeah, I do think as soon as the football is tied up, we can
Of course,
get
they can't actually sign a player.
Yeah,
July
but the
the 4th,
window's
but
not
you can,
open.
Yeah,
You know
you
what I
can
mean?
announce
The
it.
season's
Yeah.
still on.
You can agree days in a deal in principle.
Yeah, 100%.
The biggest compliment they're going to pay this fella is that he walks into City's 11 next year. You know, and it looks like he's gettable. So, but again, like, who fucking knows, Gav? Because to be honest with you, if I'm being 100% honest, we've spent the last 3 months doing transfer shows where Jude Bellingham's a given.
Yeah.
And we didn't even fucking. We were out the
Pulled
door
out
before the
before
show
it
And
started.
then we've apparently walked away from that, but like nothing's fucking happened with Joe Bellingham at all. Do you know what I mean?
Because it's a similar thing where it's that fucking Dortmund are trying to win a fucking Bundesliga title for the first time since Klopp left. So they're not going to be fucking doing business now where their clubs like it, especially not with their best player. But that's what I'm trying to say to you. Who fucking knows? We had this idea based on everything that we heard for the last fucking 18 months that this is the player we are waiting for, and then before the shop even fucking opened, we turned around town and we weren't going. So I don't know that like I get a bit skeptical even when we're fucking overly linked to players, because it's not how we do business normally.
Yeah.
No, it's usually very quiet.
Yeah, it's going to be hopefully Mac Allister is tied up as soon as Brighton are done, because I think that's the way it'll be.
But Paul Giovanni,
you read from people who you'd consider somewhat reputable, it does appear that there is sort of a gentleman's agreement he has with Brighton that for a certain amount he can go. So let's see.
Well, Paul Giovanni says it looked like he was saying goodbyes after tonight's game, and Zed Malik says
He's definitely gone.
Mac Allister was in tears and clapping the crowd was definitely a goodbye. A lot of people have mentioned Pep Guardiola in the chat tonight as well. Apparently he was punching the head off fourth officials, but he'd be all right. The fourth official was probably an Arsenal fan, so see.
Before we move on from the Mac Allister thing, one thing that's interesting with him, and it differs from a lot of other players while into it in midfield, certainly the likes of Mason Mount. When Liverpool signed Cody Gakpo and he started settling into the team, one of the things that I think Pep Linders came out and Jurgen Klopp said was they were looking to get more shooting from outside the box. So it was something that they were looking to improve on, because we don't hit enough shots from distance. And Gakpo, one of his strengths is hitting from distance. We've seen some of his goals, have been, fired outside the box. Even against Villa, he has a pop forward from outside as well. So I think the Mac Allister one, everything, the profile of him, the type of player that can hit shots from distance, I think he would just be made for us. And I think he's going to be the one. Someone mentioned Fabinho in the chat earlier, that it was the day after the Champions League, or a couple of days after we lost in Kiev, wasn't it? And he got announced. I expect Mac Allister to be one of them, but I agree with Seany. We never signed the ones. The only ones that you had a lot of sort of talk about was probably Thiago.
Yeah.
But
then when we signed him, and then we are signing bleeding Jota the next time, we're like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Look, we're going to do loads of these shows over the summer, just the way it goes. But one player that's come up in the chat the most tonight, I just want to ask you about, because we've, even if you go and sign Mac Allister and say you sign Mount, you still need one more, in my opinion, right? And without trying to fit them in with this player, in with all these lads are supposedly linked, but this guy off Southampton, Levy, is it? Shawnee, he's like, people just rave about this fella, rave about him. And he's. I'm only asking this as one of the last questions because he's shown up the most, and I like to ask you, based on what the viewers are saying. So, talk to me about this fella, because is this fella a bit of a wild card where you could bypass a Mount or bypass a Ugarte or someone like that and go, you know what, he'd be absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, he looks brilliant, Lavia. Similar to Bella Ketchup, he has like all the tools. But the thing is, like, we're signing the other fella, the centre back, potentially as a backup, not an immediate starter. And I think the three midfielders that we should bring in, I think they should be going into the 11 automatically. And I don't know whether this fella does that, because me and Keith had a bit of a blow up after the whole Bellingham thing, where I was saying, outside of Bellingham, what three players can you sign that are going to make you title challengers again? Yeah. Now, I really like the look of Lavia. I do. I even said that on shot. I said, look, it looks like City have a fucking boy back on him, and they'll
next year, I think.
Made to go. Yeah, they'll have someone ready-made to go in and just replace any one of their players that are leaving in the next few years. But I want to see Liverpool being fucking serious in this market and going out and buying players that are going to make sure we're challenging again next year. I don't think this kid is it, personally. I think how long has Klopp got left in his deal?
Yeah, 3 seasons.
Yeah, Klopp hasn't got a load of time to be fucking developing lads, to be bringing them in to challenge 2 or 3 years down the line. That, like, again, he's not cheap either. This is it's about being smart. Lavia is a potentially brilliant signing, but I'd rather, and the people are going to go mad over a fella they've watched a handful of times, but I'd rather develop Bajetic than spend 40 million on him, to be deadly honest with you.
Yeah.
Because if I'm bringing a fella in for 40, 50 million, I want him playing every week. Now, he's played every week for Southampton, and they've gone down, and it's not his fault. He's been a standout that's fair. Like I said, it's not something like, it's not a stick to beat with because you got relegated, because we've seen. But I wouldn't be trusting that lad 38 games a season to be fucking carrying you to a title challenge. And when you have players like Bajetic there who's going to need minutes as well. So I really, really like the look of your man Lavia, but I think we should spend that extra bit more on getting someone like Ugarte, who's a specialist sixth, who will come in and up the ante. And even then, it's questionable whether Ugarte is even good enough to do that, you know. But we need to be careful that we don't sign a lot of fucking young lads here who are going to have to come in and need time and not going to be at their best for 2 or 3 years. We need players to come in and help push us on almost immediately.
I think two
You
of them.
want someone
I
to
think
replace Fabinho, don't
two
you?
of them
That you can
definitely
sell
have to.
Fabinho. That's what you want someone.
Well, the thing is, like watching at the weekend, my thought behind it was like, I just couldn't go over how bad Henderson was, right? But when I watched it over the weekend and I was thinking to myself, you need 3 midfielders, I just looked at that midfield and I thought to myself, you need to bring 2 in that are going to replace Fabinho and Henderson. You're just they're gonna have to come in. If you bring in 3, 2 of them need to be looking to get into your starting 11, right? Absolutely. And now I'm not saying if you brought in a Ugarte and a Mac Allister, right, that they could replace Fabinho. And I'm not saying replace completely, like you don't see these players again. I'm saying they're gonna absolutely put the boot down to get in to this first 11. But if you had Ugarte and say Mac Allister, they could replace Fabinho and Henderson in the starting 11. But then you have a Bajcetic that's there beside Ugarte going, well, I want that spot. Do you know what I mean? And you maybe have an Elliott that's saying, well, I want the spot. Do you know what I mean? You just, out of the 3 that come in, 2 of them have to be banging on the door, you know, or even definitely on the team sheet. They just have to be, in my opinion. Or else we're going around in circles. We've gone through quite a few names there, and most of them that have been mentioned. Paul Giovanni asked about Gravenberch. That's gone very, very quiet. A few people have mentioned your man Thuram. Haven't really heard that on that. But we're going to try to do this once or twice a week, moving on as the season goes and the season passes, where we will update. And a lot of our shows through the summer will be daily updates on what's going on at Liverpool and transfer stuff. And we'll do our quizzes and we'll do our drafts and we'll do a bit of crack and have random stuff. We keep going through the summer and we'll update you as much as we can. Our whole thing this summer will be to take all the news we can find every day on Liverpool, no matter how tenuous or strong it is, and bring it to you and throw it out there and see what we all think and have a big chat around it. Link is in the description for our charity. Now, I'm going to say it out straight. There's anybody out there with a grant that doesn't need it, give me a shout with you, right? I'm just going to say it like that now, because there's no point in me going, I've only a few left. If anyone's out there with a grant that doesn't need it, give me a shout, lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com. If you have a few quid less than that, the link is in the description to donate. If you can't donate, share it amongst your family, your friends, your colleagues. There's loads of events kicking off from this weekend right through now till October, where the 12 women running the Dublin Marathon are working their socks off to try raise this money. So it really kicks off in earnest this weekend. So if you can, help us out. Before we go, Keith, did you have a nice weekend?
Had a great weekend.
Because everyone's asking, how was your weekend, lads?
A great weekend. People who don't know, we were all away on the Jolly Boys out and it was fantastic. Great fun was had by all. Still recovering from it, mind you,
Yeah.
but yeah, great weekend.
Yeah.
We got
Really,
to see
really
a
good.
lovely little a day in the sun watching the match, right? The result wasn't what we wanted, but you know, the atmosphere, everything about that was great. We had a lovely day with the Firmino clan the next day. Yeah, loads of Guinness, loads of lager, loads of everything. What a weekend.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. We are still recovering a bit. Shawnee, did you have a nice weekend? Because I was sore from laughing, I'm being honest with you.
Oh, it was brilliant. It's a great weekend. Doesn't matter where you go. Once you're with the right company, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's
The weather was whopper, wasn't it?
Fucking brilliant. It was brilliant. They all walked out. It all walked out in the end. That's all I'll say. It was fucking. It was quality. Then it's sort of people ask you, do you get paid and all for doing podcasts? And you do it for your good. You do it for moments like that. Spend time with people that you build up relationships with all the time.
Exactly.
I got to meet Kev in person for the first time, and we met Chris Brack, and you met me brother. So it like that's what it's all about. Like you go away and you have a bit of crack, and it's unbelievable. So yeah, now I'm like fucking makes it all worth it. In the end, the football in the end, and that's normally the thing with them trips when you go away for football. The football always ends up being secondary.
Yeah.
Because the crack will become before everything else.
Yeah.
And the weekend was no different. I actually can't fucking wait to do it again. I know we're already
we're looking up flights already, aren't we?
The wheels in motion.
But
look, now honestly, it was a brilliant weekend, and fucking can't thank you enough. I'm sure Keith and Kev and Emma will all echo the sentiments 100%. That was fucking it was absolutely brilliant. And fair play to Courtney as well, who gave us the touch on Bobby, which was a special moment. Like, it's something that you kind of take for granted. I know you wanted to just fucking sip on your bleeding dark fruits in the pub, but you are bleeding balls deep in conversation with Cardi Gold. But like, it was a genuine, lovely moment. Like, it was like one of them things that you look back when you're a little bit older, and fucking Bobby's playing Legends matches when he's 20 stone.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be looking back and going, do you remember that day we were down at the mural and Bobby was there with his family and you all got the opportunity to have a photo with him and stuff like that? Like, it's fucking, you couldn't write it really. And to be honest with you, Kev's first time in Anfield, and just to see the look at his face the whole weekend was lovely. So
I'd say his face most of the weekend was looking at us going, what am I doing with these fucking agents?
And then his face on the plane, I swear to God.
Can we tell the story?
Tell the story.
I thought he was gonna. I honestly thought Kev was gonna be playing parachute like for dance into the middle of Houston.
So just to let people know,
and it was fucking.
Just to let people know, it was a brilliant weekend. But just to let you know, so Kev's first time at Anfield, right? Kev is 50 odd, I think, but first time at Anfield,
40 odd, Gav.
Right? What?
Could be 40 something.
40 something. Whatever, he'll tell you in the chat. He's in the chat.
So
it was his first time at Anfield. We, from way out, we told him he had tickets. We sorted him out with tickets. He came over. He's never met any of us in person. We chat most nights, but he's never met us in person. He came up from Cork on the Friday morning, I think. Friday evening. He stayed over in a hotel near the airport. I collected him the next morning into the airport, and the fun began. We went over to Liverpool. Emma was seated beside Kev, and he was like, Jesus, Kev was just... Now, I wanted to do the thing, right, where, when kids first time go into Anfield for the first time, and the dad walks up the top of the steps and goes, here he is now, first time in Anfield, and you see a 5-year-old coming up. I wanted them to do that with Kev, right, but it didn't happen in the end. We had a brilliant weekend. Kev was due on a train from Dublin to Cork at 9 o'clock in the evening. Our flight was at 7 hour Liverpool, which was sound. We got on the plane, and the first thing the captain said was, Dublin airport is closed. There's an issue here. And Kev was like, what? So there was a bit of panic on the plane. In fairness, Emma got hold of the air stewardess and said, can you move him to the front? When the door opens, he needs to be off this plane. Kev was just volleying people out of the way as soon as the plane stopped. He managed to get to Euston Station at 8:58 p.m. and then realised his ticket for return was from the wrong date. And he was like, I don't believe this. And the guy on the gate recognised him and recognised Kev as being on this podcast and just scribbled it and wrote on a different date in, signed it and says, keep enjoying the podcast, and sent him on his way. So Kev made it home to Cork on Saturday night, because we weren't offering him a bed. He was sleeping on a bench if he didn't make it.
He was getting bunked up with Emmett Stagg in the Phoenix Park if he didn't make that train. That was on him.
No, it was an absolutely brilliant weekend. We laughed from start to finish. Some of the shouts, the people we met, just randomers we met. We met people that come up and thanked us for doing the podcast, had a drink with us. There's a couple of lads outside the Glenbook we met. There was a girl I met in taggies, and I can't for the life of me remember her name. There was just loads of people come up to us, buying us drinks and having the crack with us. We had sing songs. We spent the day in the sun. We played on golf simulators, didn't we? We met Speedo Mick.
Or Speedo to his friends.
Or Speedo to his mates. How are you, Speedo? But it was just a brilliant weekend to start or to finish off a season where everyone on the podcast has worked so hard. And you know what? We'll do it again next season, the end of next season, and we'll bring more. Whereas I'd love to get Matt from Canada, to be fair. But no, it was a top weekend made possible by the people that went, the people we met. Go on.
Alan Lawson, man, the match for me.
Yeah.
Alan Lawson is off his bleeding.
Stop all week.
He's off his bracket, the fella is. He's absolutely off his bracket.
Top
But not a bad bone in his body. That's the thing I love about him. Superb pool player.
Keith telling Speedo Mick he didn't recognise him with his clothes on.
yeah.
It was a great weekend. From
How are you,
finish.
Mick?
Yeah.
I didn't recognise you there with your clothes on in the middle of a packed pub. The poor fella was sitting with all his mates and all, and his brother. But no, honestly, it was sensational. And
Kev on the plane was great.
Kev on the plane.
We were there like, oh, Kev, I think I'll make it. I think I'll make it. The worry on his face, the panic. As soon as he looked away, I was like, making that. He isn't making it.
G10 says, I know you do it for charities, but next time you should set up something for us to give the price of a point. No, G10. Any money we ask from you people should go to charity, not us. And you wouldn't have enough money to fund the fucking price of a point the way we got at it. But like genuinely, the lads worked so hard this year on the podcast, and it doesn't get any better than that. Honestly, we do great podcasts, we have great laughs, but going away for 3 days or whatever it was, and not a word out of place between anybody. You know, we go here, yeah, come on, we go here. Nobody gave a bollocks. Like, do you know what I mean? We're home, we're recovering, and you know what? We are going to do it again next season. It'll probably be a bigger group next season, but yeah, it was a great way to end the season. But we'll keep going throughout the summer. Keith, anything else before we go? Have you remembered anything you want to say before you go?
What a way to finish the season, Gav. You know, what a weekend, what a group of lads, what an occasion. Can't ask for more than that.
Yeah.
Topped all off.
It was. Seany, anything else before you go?
Yeah, shut on off the pop.
Shut on off the pop. Yeah. I still think my favourite thing of the weekend was when Alan Lawson described a heart attack as a 7er. I just couldn't. I just don't even know where that came from. But it'll always be a 7er from here on in. That has been no transfer knowledge from the LFC Daytrippers. Thanks to Seany, thanks to Keith, thanks to everyone in the chat. We don't have anything on tomorrow night. The lads will be back with the last Premier League forecast of the season on Friday. We should have a full-time Reds on Sunday. We'll be back with a Fatback 4 on Sunday. That'll be the season ending Fatback 4, but we will go throughout the summer. And as I said, wherever you want us to do, we'll have a go at it during the summer. Paul asked, are you bringing back the 30-minute lunchtime shows, Gav? I don't know, but we might actually bring that show to later in the evening and do a lot of them throughout the summer. We're going to sit down and have a chat about it all once the season is done. Thanks a million. Talk to you in a bit. Over.